One of the most important moments in many people's lives is their wedding day. That's when vows of companionship and fidelity are exchanged to last a lifetime together. However, unfortunately, some people end up being carried away by temptation and end up betraying their partners. In the worst cases, these betrayals lead to unbelievable scenes of husbands and wives who were found with their lovers. And that's exactly what you're going to see here today. So go ahead and hit that like button, click below on the subscribe button, and let's go. Check out what happened in this hilarious case that looks like it even came out of a comedy movie. In broad daylight, a bunch of curtains, one tied to another, are thrown out the window, and right afterwards, a shirtless man appears climbing down the building below. Of course, he was a lover, desperately fleeing the crime scene, running so he wouldn't come face to face with the woman's husband who was with her inside the apartment. He was really lucky to have managed to escape, but his maneuver was quite risky since he could have fallen from a pretty great height. Looking at this party, it seems like a beautiful moment. Everyone happy to celebrate a birthday. But don't be fooled. It was all a meticulously orchestrated revenge by the birthday girl's husband, who discovered he was being cheated on by her. Right at the start of the recording, he arrives with a giant box, a surprise, according to him, that would leave her delighted. The woman starts opening the packages, searching for the so-called surprise, opening one box after another, increasing the suspense. When she finally reaches the end of this journey, she finds a very explicit screenshot of a conversation she had with her lover.
Esas son las pruebas de las conversaciones con tu amiga. Aquí todos se van a enterar de lo que pasó. Mírala. ¿Cómo que malentendido?
After exposing the infidelity to everyone present, the furious husband kicked the birthday girl out of his house, leaving a really tense atmosphere for her. A case of infidelity over in Colombia caught a lot of attention because of the confusion the betrayed wife caused upon finding her husband with another woman, ready to board a flight at the airport. Even though it was a public place full of security, the wife did not hold back and literally grabbed the husband's lover by the hair. The husband tried to calm things down, trying to talk to his wife, but it did no good. In the end, the police had to be called to settle the mood of this trio. The ridiculous scene is almost funny, with the wife pulling the lover's hair and the husband between the two women trying to break up the fight. On the other hand, the lover, whose hair was being pulled by the wife, seemed quite calm about the situation she was in. You can even see her laughing while the furious wife pulls her hair. A religious man ended up really upset upon finding his pastor together with his wife, who was also a member of the same church. The two were quite comfortable on the sand at the beach. The married woman, with her legs stretched out on the pastor's lap, realizing they were being filmed by the husband, both were startled. The woman retracts her legs and looks away, while the pastor starts smiling, not believing that the member of his congregation would have the courage to expose him. He repeats several times that the man is not going to do this to him, while the furious husband claims that the pastor ended his entire ministry because of a married woman.
Diga que é mentira, pastor.
Você não vai fazer isso.
Não vou?
Não vai.
Tem certeza?
Não vai fazer.
Tem certeza? Agora veja bem, eu fico com pena de quem? Das ovelhas do Senhor.
At a certain point in the video, the husband starts arguing with the pastor, asking if he is sure the man is not going to expose him. The pastor then begins to repent, asking the husband to forgive him and forget this mistake. He even agrees, on the condition that the pastor asks to leave the church. Things are now very tight for this pastor. No matter what he does, he will end up losing his position. A man had gone out fishing, leaving his wife at home. However, it did not take long for him to return, as he had forgotten some fishing accessories. When he arrived at his house, the fisherman ended up finding his wife in a very complicated situation involving another man. Furious, the husband went out onto the street in front of his house and began completely destroying the Hilux that was parked there. He slashed the tires, broke the windows, lights, and dented the entire body. Only there was a problem: that car was not the lover's. Incredibly, that truck belonged to a visitor who was at his neighbor's house. While the husband was destroying the Hilux, the lover left in a car that wasn't even close to being as expensive as that truck. In the end, the police had to be called, and the fisherman had to pay more than 4,000 United States dollars in damages to the vehicle. A woman was furious upon discovering she had been cheated on. She decided to take revenge on her husband by starting a live broadcast on her social network. She tagged her husband and his lover in this broadcast and began a true show of exposure. Instead of washing dirty laundry, she literally set her husband's clothes on fire, and she also completely trashed the car in which he practiced the infidelity. However, there is an unusual situation in this broadcast. Seeing all the destruction of the automobile, you might imagine that this car belonged to the husband or even the lover, but in reality, it was the betrayed wife's own car. At least the woman will not have to face criminal charges for the damage caused to the automobile. But this situation is truly unusual. In the wife's own words, a betrayed woman is more dangerous than a stray bullet. You can never know where she will stop. A very embarrassing situation occurred when a husband was caught with his lover in a motel by his own wife. Surprisingly, this guy had the nerve to leave the gate and the motel door open, which made it easier for his wife to discover everything. Normally in these places, couples value privacy, especially if they are doing something wrong. But this husband, who had left 2 children with his wife, was not too worried about being caught in the act, and so it happened.
Oi, tudo bom? Tudo bom, amor? Quem é ela? Não, eu que pergunto. O que você tá fazendo aqui? Eu com as suas 2 filhas em casa.
O que você quer?
O que você quer? Você fala o que você quer? Eu tô errada ainda. Tu tá num hotel com outro e eu tô errada. O que você quer?
He is left totally speechless, looking like a dog that fell off a moving truck when his wife begins to confront him. Visibly devastated, the wife leaves the motel room, and the shameless husband has the nerve to follow her, asking what she wants with him. This was definitely the last straw. The wife starts screaming, kicking over the stand, or rather, truly causing a scene. We can say with certainty that this marriage ended at that moment. A rideshare driver was surprised to spot his own wife together with a passenger he was about to pick up. This happened a few years ago during the pandemic. Most people wore masks to protect themselves from the circulating virus. Taking advantage of his mask, the husband covered his head with his hoodie and deepened his voice to help with the disguise. Indeed, the woman in the back seat was his wife, who was cheating on him with another man. The driver, even after realizing the harsh reality, remains very calm and begins to chat with the couple until he discovers the full extent of the infidelity, which had been going on for quite some time.
This is my wife. Your wife? Oh my God. Huh? This is your What husband? Were you doing with this guy? This is your husband. Yeah, we're married.
To make matters worse, the two were heading to the driver's own house. When they were arriving, the driver removes his hood, revealing his identity. At that moment, the lover decides to leave, abandoning the woman to a heated argument with her husband, who ended up asking for a divorce. A man who was already suspecting possible infidelity on the part of his wife decided to follow her when she left home and ended up at a motel. He was very patient, waiting for the right moment to break into the room where his wife was with the lover. But when he entered, he ended up causing a huge commotion because he was completely enraged. He starts screaming and even tries to get into a physical confrontation with the lover, all while being filmed by his own friend who accompanied him on this investigation. Luckily, the husband managed to calm down before something tragic happened. It's really very dangerous to try to solve things when you are that angry. A problem as unpleasant as infidelity can become something much worse, as unfortunately happens in many cases of crimes of passion. An amazing case of exposing infidelity that happened in Mexico is blowing up on social media for the ultra-sophisticated way the betrayed woman devised to expose not only her fiancé, but also her own mother, with whom the guy was secretly involved. The daughter organized a birthday party for her mother, who had never received a proper debutante party when she was younger. It seemed like a very affectionate gesture, but in reality, the daughter just wanted to expose her mother's betrayal. Her own fiancé ended up taking a back seat in this exposure because of his involvement with his future mother-in-law.
Un momento, ya le voy a explicar. Y pues aquí tengo chats donde tú le decías a mi mamá que se iban a ir de viaje. ¿Por qué mi mamá se iba a ir de viaje con mi enamorado sin decirme nada a mí?
When the special moment arrived, the daughter took the microphone to announce that she was sending incriminating evidence to the party's WhatsApp. Not satisfied with sending just screenshots of their conversation, she began reading excerpts where her own fiancé made plans to marry the mother and take her to another country. There's no way to try to justify something like that.
Obvio, baby. Vámonos de viaje. ¿Qué es eso?
La bendición.
Y mamá, listo, mi amor. Ahí nos vemos.
When couples decide to wash their dirty laundry in public, things can get very ugly, but not as disastrous as this woman in New York who, upon discovering an affair, began throwing all of her husband's things out of the 6th floor window of an apartment building. And as you can see in the images, it wasn't just a few things. She did not limit herself to throwing only clothes or lower value objects. Judging by this photo where cosmetics and makeup utensils appear, it's possible that she even threw out her own items in a moment of rage.
This don't ever happen. This girl is crazy. Oh wow, she giving them a show. She giving them a show. Look at this.
The tree on the sidewalk ended up more decorated than at Christmas, full of the relationship's wreckage. The wife threw out a vase, kitchen utensils, a mirror, and even an entire sofa out the window. Eventually, the police had to intervene before some unsuspecting person passing by on the sidewalk got hurt. It seems that the husband was not at home during the rage episode. Good thing, because in the state she was in, she might very well have thrown him out the window too. Double betrayal. A man decided to go out drinking at the bar with his lover, and the worst part is that he invited his friend, who was also being unfaithful. Neither of them imagined that on this day they would be discovered by their wives. A security camera at the bar where they were recorded the moment the women arrived, furious, looking like a devastating tornado. While one of the wives sends a strike to the bottles on the table, the other tries to throw her helmet like a bowling ball at the man wearing red. He was faster and ran away to avoid the punishment. The funniest thing is that even other customers in the bar got caught up in it. One of the wives returns to pick up the helmets, but in the confusion, ends up taking other helmets that were already there since the start of the recording. Check out what happened in the interior region of the state of Maranhão in Brazil, in the city of Santa Lucia do Parua. Pastor Jurasi, who should have been a faithful servant of God, was caught committing adultery, and on top of that, with a much younger girl from the church than himself and his wife. The wife was working but kept receiving calls from Ellen, Pastor Jurasi's lover, during their intimate moments. This time she came home earlier, suspicious, and to her unhappiness, there was her own husband all excited with another woman. The wife exploded with rage and began filming the act of betrayal, but unbelievably, Ellen still broke her cell phone trying to prevent the filming. But no problem, she had another device and went back to filming after things calmed down. During the recording, even another woman arrives to see what was going on with all the shouting. The video started circulating through the city, and before they realized it, it was on the internet gaining thousands of views, exposing not only the adulterous pastor, but also the young woman who, besides knowing she was going out with a married man, kept calling his wife to torment her. Maybe if it weren't for that detail, the two would still be sneaking around, but the mockery brought the whole house down once and for all. Look at what this woman did. Even though she was married to a military police officer, she had been cheating on him for a long time. It all started when the husband started getting suspicious after his wife behaved suspiciously with him once. According to what he himself says in the video, she stood him up when they were at the gym, but that day, he followed her and saw her entering another gym where her lover worked. Back then, the policeman cooled his head and decided to wait to gather proof of the betrayal. Until one day, he finally caught the two entering an unfinished house. Check it out. The house had nothing inside, just a mattress on the floor. What could that mattress be for, huh? They had just entered the house and the policeman came right behind. So he didn't catch them in the act, so to speak, but the adultery was very clear. No respectable woman would be found in such conditions by her own husband. Both the wife and the lover spend the entire video trying to justify themselves. However, what was happening there was more than clear to everyone. The woman, although still not admitting the betrayal, at one point tried to ask him to talk to her before asking for a divorce, but there was no use. This one was really done for. Don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this.